You're listening to the Make Do Review.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Make Do Review. I'm Jack.
And I'm Emily.
And today on the podcast we are reviewing It Chapter 2.
How are you today, Jack?
Do you know what? I'm pretty good. Yourself?
Yep, I'm doing well. I've just realised that I can't see you, so I'm going to adjust.
Oh, we can't have that.
I know. I feel like I'm just talking to the back of a computer.
Hold on, let me shimmy. Is that okay?
This is better.
Perfect. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. It's another day, it's another week, and it's slowly creeping to the October season. The spooky season.
Yes. The Halloween season.
Halloween!
Would you like to tell them what we're planning for October?
Yes, I shall. For the month of October, every Wednesday, we will release an October-themed / Halloween-themed episode. And beginning off October, on the first Wednesday of October, we will release Emily's top 5 favourite Halloween movies.
Or spooky films.
Or spooky-themed films.
Spooky extravaganza.
We're really excited about it. It's our first kind of, it's our first kind of thing with the show. And what a way to start with October. Such a fun season. So we hope you enjoy it.
We're going to give you a little taste of what that might be like today by reviewing the horror film It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2.
Which we have just come back from seeing.
Literally just came back from the cinema.
Still have the popcorn.
Before we get into It Chapter 2, because we haven't reviewed the first one, we thought that we would give our quick opinions and a quick rating of the Chapter 1 of It. So Emily, what did you think of we actually watched the first It last night, because we knew we were going to go see Chapter 2 today. So Emily, what did you think of the first one?
I like the first one. It's the second time I've seen that film. And the only thing I have to say is I didn't find it scary. Yeah. I didn't find it scary. I mean, obviously there's jump scares, but I didn't find... it wasn't too bad. But I do like the complexity of the characters and the character relationships and the storyline that happens there, because I feel like with a lot of horror films and thrillers, the characters are quite surface level, and then, when they die, you don't really care. Whereas
you're actually quite excited to see them die.
And the way that the first film ended made me curious to see this second film, and I wasn't disappointed. So that's my overall of the first one.
And what would you give it out of 5?
I would give it a 3.5. It's a good film, but I don't think it's
average.
A horror. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
I saw It Chapter 1 when it first came out in cinemas in 2017, I think it came out. It was actually the first it was like the first time when the first year of uni for me. And then I went with my housemates, who were like my only friends at the time, for uni. And I remember going to see it, and at the time I was not a huge horror fan. I actually hated scary films because I don't like being scared. It's like, who likes being scared? But I remember seeing it, and I was like, this film is not scary. It's actually really funny. I remember seeing the first one, and it was absolutely hilarious. I loved the cast, and it was the first movie where I actually enjoyed child actors. Do you know what I mean? Because usually, especially in horror films, they're just annoying, and they're usually too young, and it's just bad acting. But the whole cast was like fantastic. The kid actors, they were all great. But yeah, I agree. it's not a scary film. But I never found Pennywise scary at all. But I really did enjoy the performance from Bill Skarsgård. Because everyone always talks about the original Pennywise, Tim Curry, from the miniseries, the movie miniseries back in the late early 90s. But I never really heard of it. Because when I seen the trailer for the first bit, I knew I recognized it because everyone used to talk about it. And I remember my friend used to hate me because he was such a huge horror fan, and I would never watch horror films with him, and he hated it. He always wanted to watch scary movies, and he always called me out because I was too scared.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I do like the first film. After watching it last night, I actually realized how, it's not as great as I remember. I thought I remember the second time I watched it, I absolutely loved it even more. But then the third time yesterday, I didn't enjoy it as much. I was actually kind of bored, and I was done. And I hate jump scares because they're just not scary anymore for me. It's a quick jump because it's just a sudden loud noise. It's not a rewarding
Not
scare.
clever.
Yeah, it's not clever either, and I hate it. It's just lazy. It's lazy writing, just to fling in a jump scare. But anyway, the first I would give, originally I would have given it a 4 out of 5, but I think I will stick to a 4 out of 5. It's a great film because it's beautifully shot. It's got a great cast. And it's got a nice story about a group of friends like coming together to face their fears. It's a good story and it's a good film. Yeah, I'll give it 4. 4 dead children out of 5.
Should I give it balloons?
4 balloons. 4 pop balloons out of 5.
So
anyway,
on to It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2, directed by Andy Muschietti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Directed by Andy Muschietti, released on the 6th of September 2019.
Based on the novel by Stephen King.
Yeah, based on the novel by Stephen King, of course. The behemoth of a book. Have you seen how big the book is?
No.
It's literally like, a curb. It's like that thick. It's like,
Ooh,
it is massive.
Yeah.
Actually, people like joke on it so much how massive, because it's got so much detail, which Stephen King likes, which made it so difficult for these all these different films trying to make an It movie when there's so much to cram in. Anyway, with a runtime of 2 hours and 49 minutes, it did feel like that. I'm not gonna lie, this one did feel a bit dragged out. With a budget of around 70 million and a box office so far of 185 million. So not bad. People love that scary clown.
Yeah.
Starring Bill Skarsgård once again as Pennywise, Jessica Chastain as Beverly, James McAvoy as Bill Hader as Richie, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. Isaiah Mustafa, playing as Mike, James Rossoni as Eddie, and Andy Bean as Stanley. So Emily,
Did you say about Jay Ryan?
Who was Jay Ryan?
Ben.
Oh, did I not put him down?
You did not. How can you forget Ben?
Oh no.
Sweet Ben.
Oh no. I blame IMDb.
I've got it here. It's here.
I know, but I'm sorry, Ben.
We blame Jack.
I'm sorry, it was just that forgettable. No, I'm only kidding.
Oh
I'm only kidding.
Anyway.
Emily, what did you, without spoiling anything, what did you think of It Chapter 2?
I really enjoyed this, but again, didn't find it scary. There was jump scares, like normal.
Once again.
But I was more intrigued by the characters and their individual kind of storylines and what was happening with them rather than the actual horror side of it. And at parts it felt like the movie itself kind of forgot that it was supposed to have the horror in it, and then it was like, oh yeah, the clown should probably like show up.
Yeah,
at some point.
I kept saying that. Like,
you were saying that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. But no, I enjoyed it, and I definitely watch it again.
Cool. I agree. I thought it was. It's weird. As soon as it finished, I was a bit like, I really don't know how I feel about this film, but I know I enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. It was great directing, a fantastic cast. It's one of those films where, you know, where they have to recast it again. It's like when you see like a comic book film, and they announce the cast, and you're like, that's a great cast. It's like that again for the kid actors in the first one. I think it was everyone nailed it, and everyone felt like they're the child, predecessors. Yeah, I thought it was good. Once again, it's just filled with jump scares. It's not clever. There's no clever scares. Not once that I feel scared or like tense, you know. And I was saying that too because it feels like a really nice, well written film with great characters and a great story about friendship and facing your fears. And then the producers walked out of the room, looked at the script, and then they were like, "Where's the scary clown?" And then they're like, "Oh, I forgot. Yeah, of course, I forgot this is about a clown and an all-being entity, you know, with deadlights and this really complicated premise."
Backstory.
Yeah,
there was.
you know, oh, God, I didn't know this other, like, you know, that's what this film felt like that more so than the last film. You know.
Oh yeah, it did.
Because I enjoyed Pennywise presence more in the first film than I did in this film. It was, it was very much the same scares, and I was like, just do something new. Like give Bill Skarsgård something to do, because there's such a fantastic scene in the first one when he comes out of the fridge, and that's the one time where he's not like a CG monster. He's literally there on set, and he gets to do what he wants to do.
The only scene I felt like was like that in this film was the one in the maze in the carnival house, which we will get to when we start to do spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the film. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, I don't think. Maybe I'll change my mind when we talk about it more. But anyway, let's get into spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning. Please see the film beforehand and then jump right back into the podcast if you want to hear us discuss It Chapter 2.
You're listening to the Make Do Review.
So, the first thing I want to talk about is I thought it was like a really powerful intro. I don't know how you felt. The beginning of the movie, I thought it was like really hard hitting. You know, to show like the town of Derry is still like just as fucked up as it was back in the late 80s. You know, with like racists and now they're showing that there's still like people like that out there, like racists and homophobes.
Oh, homophobe.
Yeah. And it's quite a brutal scene, like, and it makes you go, yep, yeah, that still happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It opened on a scene where it's at the carnival and these two
gay couple. Yeah.
These two guys are getting harassed by a group of guys, and they get followed, and then
a girl.
And a girl.
Yeah,
and they get followed, and then they get beaten up, and one of them gets beaten to a pulp, thrown in the river, and then it comes and gets him.
Yeah.
But I think, I have to agree, that was actually, out of all the horror, that I think that was the most horrific to watch, because
it's so real.
It's so real. It was so real.
Yeah. But what I liked is it's still showing like the dark side of the the town of Derry.
Yeah.
Because that's another element to the it creature. He like changes the town, and and it's still got these like really hateful backwards people. But yeah, quite a brutal scene, and then we get our first glimpse of it again. Pennywise, sorry, I keep calling him it. Pennywise. We see our first glimpse of Pennywise, and it's a nice thing because at first he's helping the poor guy get out of the water, and then his boyfriend sees him, and then it's just the brutal. He like rips open his chest, and I think he eats his heart or something. Yeah, quite nasty. And then we see Mike, and then he has to. He knows. Oh yeah, he gets the radio call, like the police scanner. And then he goes to the crime scene, and under the bridge, written in blood, it's "Come home."
Yeah. So then he starts calling.
And then he phones.
Everyone.
Yeah, he phones the gang, tells them it's back.
What was a good, I think, was a good twist was that most of them had forgotten what had happened.
Oh no, that's in the book.
No, as in like it was a nice twist on like the previous area. So in the previous film, in the first film, there's stuff that happened that they hadn't shown.
Oh,
which
right.
gets revealed to the characters who have
okay.
forgotten stuff, and us, the audience, in this new film, little bits that have happened.
So they show in more detail what happens between, I think it's like a month between the time where they all fought in the first one, and and they all separate, and it shows like little scenes of what they got up to
Before then, they made that pact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, before they went back to save Beverly. I know there was quite a lot of that. There was quite a lot of flashbacks to the first one. So they showed clips from the first film, and then there was some scene like reshot, like new scenes that's set
from that timeline.
Yeah, from that timeline. And I had to disagree. I didn't like it. And the reason I didn't like it is because I read up that they actually had to use a de-aging effect on and some of the kids because they were looking a bit too old.
I thought some of their faces
looks weird,
a
right?
bit different. Yeah,
And
they didn't look like them.
And some of the lines that they were delivering, you can see like the lips weren't moving as right. So obviously that was to do with like the CG like not mixing in. So every time it went back to the younger kids, I hated it because it just looked so fake, and you can tell most of them are trying so hard not to have a deep voice, so they're trying to like heighten their voice, and it just doesn't work, and it's just awkward, and I don't know, I didn't really like it.
But aside from like how it looked, I liked the fact that
I like the idea. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Oh, this is stuff that happened that we just completely did not see. That gets revealed to us. So that was quite nice.
Yeah. So essentially the film goes into like they all meet up again. They all have their own lives, and then they all forgot. Everyone except Mike forgets everything, and because he still lives in Derry. And they come back as soon as they hear about it coming back, and then the pact. And then it's all about them trying to remember everything, like get their memories back.
And they have to go on their own, don't they?
And then a scavenger hunt to find mementos of, I don't know. Some of them seemed a bit odd.
So basically the idea of getting the mementos was they had to go back and confront that memory that they had buried so deep they'd forgotten it, basically.
Yeah.
In some way. So we see that happen to each of the characters.
Is that true? Because some of them were like happy memories. So like Bev had like the poem on the postcard, and then what was the other kid called? That's gonna annoy me. Stanley. Stanley's was like the shower cap. So I don't think there were like memories that they tried to forget. It was more like, I don't know, something that had to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the reason why I think it's things that they forgot is because towards the end, they have to throw their mementos in the fire, and Ben has the yearbook page that Beverly had written on, and he says the reason he didn't ever forget his memento was because he'd held on to it in his wallet every day for the 27 years. So it's kind of that thing of like, you guys all kind of forgot us and these things, whereas I didn't, because I cared and I kept mine on me.
Yeah, it's very confusing. So yeah, and that whole segment was my least favorite part of the movie. I liked the intro and I liked the ending because it was like a nice big action ending, and it was interesting and fun. But yeah, the middle of the film, it's such a formula, and it's like, it's like the same, like 3 beats. They go to the place, they get scared by Pennywise, they find their memento, then it moves on to the other person, and then it's the same thing, and once again, not scary, like what's coming, and it's just a bit, I don't know, it's just when it got to those parts, I was just getting annoyed because I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. There was like no challenge. Do you know what I mean? Even when Pennywise showed up, there was like no challenge for them to get their memento. They just picked up and then they're like, got my memento. And then there was this whole bit where Bill, played by James McAvoy, like he gets his old bike back, which I thought was his memento, and it turned out no, it's not. And I was thinking, I was like, how's he going to sacrifice a bike? Because they make a big deal about, oh, there's my bike, and I was like, okay, so he gets his bike back. That makes sense. But no, it was the boat, from Georgie's boat, and I was like, how did he even get it though?
Because he grabbed it.
I know, but it was like a Pennywise like illusion, but he still like had it. I don't know. I thought that was weird.
But yeah, and then Bill meets this young boy that's living in his old house, and the little boy comments about how he hears voices that sound like children and a clown coming up from the drains, like in the house. And so then Bill's like, you've got to make your family move out of here. And then this comes up later when Pennywise leaves a message for him,
which
alluding
is so
to the fact
weird.
that he's gonna kidnap this child. So Bill goes off on his own.
Did you think it was just so random? Because they were just like, they were standing there talking, and all of a sudden the skateboard comes rolling down the stairs, and it's just like, I got a bloody message on it, and I was like, oh, that's random. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I thought that this boy was going to be really important, like they needed him or something, but no. But actually, I did like the scene. He runs off to the carnival to go save him.
I suppose the whole point of having the young boys, Bill always blamed himself for Georgie's death. So the little boy is like a representative of Georgie, and like Bill has a second chance to save this.
I think he actually does say that. He's like, I can't let it happen again.
Yeah.
I have a chance to save him.
So that's the reason. And then there's that beautiful scene where they're in the mirror maze.
Beautiful scene.
I just really liked how it was shot.
I'm a huge fan of Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah.
Like in scary movies. It's
really
always really
well.
clever. Yeah, because it's really and this one was like really claustrophobic. Like it got really tight sometimes, and sometimes he was like boxed in, and it was really clever. And once again, it was very gruesome.
It was.
I thought he was gonna save him, and then no, he like Pennywise totally eats his head off.
It basically gets to the point where Bill is stuck on one side of like a mirror seeing the little boy. Then Pennywise is stuck on the other side of the little boy, and the little boy's stuck in the middle. And Bill's like whacking, trying to get through the glass to get to the little boy before Pennywise does, and Pennywise is just
headbutting
it.
Yeah,
like he's going for it, and he breaks it, and then he just eats the boy's head off.
Yeah, it's like full on.
No hesitation.
One thing I will say about this film, and he's totally just, he steals the show, and I did see reviews about this, and I was wondering like, are people just saying that? But no, he totally does. Bill Hader, in the film, I think he totally steals the show.
As
and
Richie.
As Richie, yeah, he nailed it, and it's such a good casting. And I love Bill Hader. He's just like naturally funny. Like he doesn't need to try hard, and yeah, and he actually had like a really nice story to him as well, and
Yeah, he
it got
did.
quite emotional as well, because they kind of hinted towards that Richie's sexuality, because even Pennywise is like, I know your secret. Would you like me to tell them your secret?
Yeah.
And at first I was like, what secret? Like, what are you talking about? And then it shows, like, and I was like, oh, okay.
It's because he's playing a arcade game with another boy.
Yeah.
And he makes a comment about, I've got another token. Do you want to keep playing? And then.
But it's so innocent though, isn't it? He's just like, do I just keep playing?
Yeah, but I think
because like the bully walks in.
The bullies walk in and they call
him the F word.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And rather than like fighting back or whatever, it's his reaction to that hints that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
yeah,
because obviously he wasn't trying to do anything. He was just being nice. And then obviously he got bullied for it. And then we see him like engrave his initial, but we don't see the other initial until the very end. But I kind of hinted, but I didn't know who it was going to be.
No, I didn't either.
I thought it was going to be Stanley, because they had the whole scene where he's in the church for his bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going to be Stanley, but it's Eddie. And because I knew I know what happens in the books, so I knew who was going to die. So, which is annoying, because I was a bit like, I know that Eddie's gonna die.
Yeah, because we lose Stanley right at the beginning. As soon as he gets
I knew that.
As soon as he gets that phone call from Mike, he writes these suicide letters that the characters receive.
Yeah, we see that at the end.
And,
I actually thought it was quite.
He kills himself.
I like that actually, because in the original mini series, he just kills himself, and then you never hear from him really. And then, but in this, we get a nice note at the end, about how he wasn't strong enough, but he knew if he took himself out of the picture, they can defeat him.
And yeah, Eddie dying was quite emotional as well.
Yeah, it's really sad, because he kind of goes through the same thing where he's like, I'm too scared, I can't do it, I'm holding his back, and then everyone like is trying to build him up to be like, you're a lot braver than you think. And that's why I think that was the thing that I liked most of the film. It's just good writing from, like, whenever it was like moments with just the characters. There's some really nice moments. I really like the restaurant scene at the beginning when they first meet. It's just a nice, and it feels really natural, and they're just having a good time, and like all these like somber moments together and all that, and it's good. And then once again it's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be scary, like just sticking a loud noise there, and that'll scare them. And it just puts you off the movie, in my opinion. It's just like it makes me go, ugh. Again, really? Because annoyingly, I jumped once in the film. I don't know if you noticed.
No.
It got me once, and it was when it was like the scene where the little girl was at the baseball game and she gets distracted by a firefly.
Oh yeah,
and
that made me jump as
She goes under the bleachers, and then Pennywise is there. And actually, that's a good moment with Bill Skarsgård, actually, because he does the whole. He's like, she's like, you're not, you can't be my friend, you're scary and all that. And then he starts crying, and he's like, no one wants to be my friend. Because, like, and then he's like, because I look different. And then she's like, I get that, because she has like a birthmark on her face. It's like, people make fun of me too. And it's actually quite a sweet moment where they're like, he's like, I can make that disappear. And then he just chomps her head off. And it got me, I don't know why, because he's counting down. He's like, I'll blow that birthmark off your face. And he's like, 1, 2. And then he's just frozen still. And he's like drooling out his mouth. And it's just like, you're supposed to say 3, and he jumps at her, and it got me, and I was so annoyed because I was like, because I knew it was coming, and it still got me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's why I hate jump scares, because even though you know it's coming, because it's just a loud, sudden noise,
it does make you.
You're just like, oh, well, God, you scared me. But anyway, what did you think of the ending?
The ending was
like the third act, like the final. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they go through the whole thing of like the ritual, and I didn't really understand.
Actually, let's go back. What did you think of the whole ritual thing? I hated it.
No.
I was like, oh, really? A ritual?
It just didn't really feel like it fitted in.
It didn't at all. And then it was like an Indian, Native American tribesman, you know, first defeated him and all that, and he had like a thing to capture the deadlights.
If they had just been like, oh, it's like basically a demon from hell, like we need some holy water and whatever, that would have made a bit more sense than like it's a weird out of space light creature.
Like honestly,
thing.
see, it's more crazier than that. Like in the Stephen King novel, it's like it's supposed to be like. Have you ever heard of like the whole thing where it's like a space turtle?
No.
Yeah, there's like people that believe that there's like a space turtle and it controls like the galaxy or something like that, and that's kind of where it comes from. Like, I'm not even joking. This is in the book. So when I was watching this, I was kind of like, are they actually going to do the whole thing where like really?
There's a space turtle.
Are they really going to expand on this? But no, they kind of, they kind of kept it cryptic like the first one.
What I didn't understand is like when they did this whole ritual, they thought they got rid of Pennywise, and then they hadn't.
Yeah.
And then Pennywise was like, tell them like why it didn't work, blah blah blah. I didn't understand.
Right. So
what
I think it was, there was like a quick little moment in like the scene before where I think Richie was looking at the tribal statue thing they were going to capture it in, and he noticed that it was like a part of it was scratched out.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I noticed that, and then he grabs it away from him. So I was like, okay, random. I thought it was just like, don't touch it. But then it goes back and Pennywise is like, tell him why it didn't work. And it's like, and then he's like, yeah, the story is they didn't kill it. It didn't work. So essentially, he just lied to them, and he thought that it will work this time because they have something to believe in. You know? I think that's what it was.
Oh.
Do you get it now?
It showed them like all dying.
Yeah, so they died. It didn't work for them, so they died. And then he never told them that, but he thought it would work this time because they were like stronger willed or something.
Oh.
Yeah. But I agree, it's dumb.
It wasn't very...
It doesn't work, you know, it's just...
Yeah, it wasn't very clear.
When you've got like when you've already established there's like a space demon clown that can transform into your worst fears, don't go too far into detail with it. Do you know what I mean? Because then it becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
I already believe in your, demon clown. You've sold me it. Stop overselling it, because now I don't believe in it at all, and it's not scary. It's just stupid.
And they're like they're fighting it, and then the way that they defeat him is by just making Pennywise believe that he's just a tiny, small, weak thing, and then they rip his heart out, and it seemed like such a simple way to defeat him. Yeah.
Yeah, it always felt like they kept adding in more details. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that it has to, it has to be the thing that you see or something like that. Oh, it has to be as strong as the thing it turns into. Because what is it? Eddie like before he dies, he quickly talks about how, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a leecher or something like that. I can't remember. It's
only as strong as you believe it is.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But what was the thing that he was like strangling? I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's called like a leech or something, but
Oh, a leper.
a leper. Thank you. He's like strangling it, and then it got smaller as he like strangled it because it's only like a person essentially. And he was stronger than it because it's not that, because it's like a weak thing. So that's what they come to the conclusion, and then they just keep calling him a clown. You're just a clown. You're nothing. You're a stupid clown. And he gets smaller and smaller. It's just this really weird bit where he gets like really tiny, and he leans back, and then his like head like ripples.
Yeah, it's like
and it
deflated.
looks so stupid.
It's like a deflated balloon.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess maybe that's what they were doing. But to me, it looked ridiculous. I was like, oh god, stop it. And then Pennywise is like, we're all so grown up. And then they take his heart and crush it together, and then that's that.
The whole place comes crumbling down.
Yeah, then Eddie passes, and then they have to run out of there, and that's it.
And then they kind of have this nice moment in the lake from the first film.
Oh yeah, they jump back into the lake,
wash themselves off.
Yeah.
And then it kind of comes to the ending where they, you see Bill reading the letter. He's come off the phone from Mike, and he reads the letter that Stanley had left them all.
The weird thing was, I don't know if you felt like this, but seeing the first film, I thought the most interesting character was Bev.
Yes.
But in this film, she seemed like the weirdest character. She just seemed really off all the time.
How so?
How to explain it? So yeah, she was like a really strong, she didn't care what people thought of her in the first one. She's like, there's rumors, I don't care, I'm better than them, whatever. And then she meets the losers, then she finds her new friends. Whereas in this one, as she was older, she just seemed really off, and I really can't explain it.
She didn't. Okay, I get what you mean. She didn't feel like a strong female character anymore, like she had in the first one.
No, she seemed really scared and weak.
She didn't seem very significant.
No, I thought it was strange.
Because she seemed more preoccupied about finding out who her secret admirer was. Whether it was Bill or
she
Ben.
found out in the first
Bill
one.
Or Ben.
She found out in the first one, but obviously everyone forgets their life's in Derry as soon as they leave. And then she kisses both of them, and it's weird.
Again.
Oh yeah, again actually, yeah. So yeah, because there's the once again they have to reestablish that, Ben still likes Bev. Bill, Bev, and Ben.
And he's hot now.
He is super hot. 6-pack Ben. I did like that line when he's like drowning in his little den that he made for everyone, and Pennywise is like at the gate, and he's like, all that hard work and the working out, and you're just still a little fat boy. And I don't know why, I just thought it was like, and it was really real. I was like, oh, I know how that feels. I was like, I'm nothing.
Oh gosh, getting deep.
Getting real deep. Anything else that you can think of? Anything else that stood out to you? I like James McAvoy in this film as well. I feel like I haven't spoke about him. James McAvoy always killing it. I thought it was good.
He is always killing it.
Yeah, he's doing really well now. Well chuffed for him. Yeah, I don't think I really have much else to say.
That's it, really.
That's it. But so yeah, overall, I just think it was a good film, but it had its problems. Like, kind of like the first one. It's pretty much this on the same level as the first one, but I think the first one kind of trumps it, just because I think it's a little bit more grounded and solid. And I don't know. And I know I know I like this film, but it's obviously you're comparing it to the first one,
Yeah.
which is the problem with like sequels. What it's called, sequelitis, is it called? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, I can't remember what it means.
What is your summary review then?
Mine. Okay. So I think I enjoyed this film. I love Bill Hader. I thought he was the standout of the cast. I thought he was really funny, and he actually has some really nice acting in it as well. I feel like he was used very well in this film, which I was afraid that he wouldn't be. I thought he was just going to be the zinger, you know. But no, he was used very well, and he had some really nice moments in it, which I thought was good. And I liked what they did to the character. You know, they added a little extra, and I didn't mind it. It didn't feel forced. You know, and which usually is a problem when they try to add that extra detail in a character, and it just feels really forced and not needed. It's like, oh, did they really need to like make him like that or whatever? But no, I thought it was a nice touch, because it kind of showed why he's like the way he is. He uses comedy as a defense thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, great cast. You know, I liked everyone in the film. There was no one where I was like, oh, I didn't like, except for what, Bowers, the bully.
Oh yeah, we barely talked about him.
Barely talked about it. It's not worth talking about anyway.
No,
it's
really.
kind of like that in the book anyway, where he comes back to finish Pennywise's deed.
And he's killed off pretty swiftly.
And yeah, he doesn't kill anyone, and he's killed off. It's just pointless. He was the only thing about the film where I was really like, oh, they could have just cut that, because it looked like in the first film he died, but then they were obviously like, oh, we have to bring him back for the second one because it's in the book. But yeah, I feel like Bill Skarsgård wasn't really used enough in this film. I feel like he was barely in it. There was more other creatures than him.
Yeah, there was.
You know, and but he does nail it. He was perfect for the role, and you know he always does a good job. But it's just bad. It's just lazy scares, which is annoying because you have this great actor and a great character, but you're just using easy jump scares when you could really build up and, you know, make me scared. You know, I wanted to be scared, and it never happened once.
No.
Which is its main flaw. It's a horror film, and it's not scary.
So what would you give it out of 5?
So I gave the first one a 4. So I'd probably give it... I'm going to give It, Chapter 2... 3 I'm gonna give it 3 paper boats. 3 dead Georgies.
Oh, gosh.
Out of 5.
Too soon. I think for me overall,
Georgie.
I think for me overall, I really enjoyed the characters. The characters were enjoyable to watch. I felt invested in them. I actually felt a little choked up, like when Eddie died, and then Richie's kind of grieving over him, and even Stanley, when I saw that he died right at the beginning, I was like, oh.
I agree. I kind of choked up. I didn't choke up, but I did feel a bit like, oh, right at the end for the letter bit. I was like, oh, that's a really nice ending.
Yeah.
I never mentioned that. It was a really lovely ending, I think.
It was
a nice ending to the series. Please finish it.
I can't remember what I was gonna say now. I just really enjoyed that side of things and the storyline and how they kind of brought back snippets. And the flashbacks that they had, the revealed memories to us, they didn't feel necessarily like they were being forced back into the previous storyline. I felt like they kind of fitted. So that was nice. It was, the only downside I have to say is it just wasn't very scary. But in some ways, I suppose it had a good message of like, things are only as scary as you allow them to be perceived to be, which I guess is true. But for like a horror film with something as scary looking
Scare
as
me,
Pennywise,
you know? It's like,
yeah,
just do it. I don't need a message about fear. I want to be scared.
Exactly. And some of the CGI monsters just looked a bit funny rather than
They weren't good in this one,
scary.
were they?
So I think I have to give this a 3. A 3 dead Georgies or 3 Georgies boats out of 5. So not as good as the first one, but
3 floating
still
balloons.
decent. I still would watch them again.
Yeah, I think they are now placed as like, I think they'll now be known as like classic horror films. Like,
yeah, I think so.
Like as it goes down the line, that people will come back to these films and
yeah.
watch them on Halloween.
I think I actually prefer the fact that the characters are quite fleshed out than in other horror films where, yeah, it's scary, but I don't really care about anyone. So.
You want them to die. I think that
Exactly,
I think
so.
you know. Well, fair enough if that's the angle you're going for. Like, but that's why these are nice films. They're like good films because they've got nice, good writing and good characters. But then it's ruined by adding in the horror theme because it doesn't work because it's not scary.
I tell you what might have been scarier
Go on then.
is if it wasn't even like a monster that had been kidnapping these children. If it was just like another person that had just been terrorizing this town and kidnapping people, like, and cannibalizing, like eating them.
You could have just made it a clown, just a normal ass clown.
The psychopath person.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Do you get what I mean? Because then it's like, oh,
And
that's real.
Take out the supernatural.
Yeah.
And then make it like real.
Yeah, because then you'd be like, oh,
That's creepy.
That's creepy, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
That's
But
my note.
But it's based on a novel. It's based on, you know. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Make Do Review podcast. Join us next week for another review of something.
We won't reveal what quite yet.
Yes, to keep up to date on our next reviews or any updates on myself and Emily, please follow us on Twitter at the Make Do Review. Is that right?
Yeah, and also on Instagram now. We have an Instagram page at the Make Do Review as well.
Exactly.
So definitely check those out.
And this podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for listening, and that'll do.
That will do.